Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Nazir. We are up to Perek Bet, Mishnah Bet. Today's Mishnayot should be Le'elu Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana, Ranbai, Eliyahu ben Burcha, Israel, Chana bat Miriam, and Sason ben Raya, Menuchatam began Eden, Amen, Le'avdir ben Chaim lechaim, V'derefua shelemav, Daniel Shalom ben Rosa, Betoch Shah Chulei Israel. This Mishnah discusses some of the most unusual cases in all of Mishnah. In the first case, a person's cow lies on the ground, refusing to get up. The frustrated owner tries to make it stand and talks to himself about a conversation he imagines having with the cow. Amar, if a person said, Amra farazu, this cow said, Hereni nizira imumedet ani, I refuse to stand up, and I will become a Nazir if I do stand up. And I say on the contrary, I will become a Nazir from this cow if it does not stand up. And then the cow stood up on its own. Now while the owner struggles to raise his cow, he says angrily, this cow seems to think that it will never stand up, but I will be a Nazir from the cow if it does not get up. And then the cow stood up on its own, meaning it stood up not through his efforts, but on its own or through the efforts of other people. Amar adelet azer, in a similar case regarding a jammed door, if a person said, this door said, Areni Nazir miftachani, I refuse to open, I will become a Nazir if I do open. And I say on the contrary, I will become a Nazir from this door if it does not open. And then the door opened on its own. So in a similar case where a person struggles to open a stuck door, he declares that although the door seems like it will never open, he will be a Nazir from the door if it does not open, and the door opened on its own, for example, through a change in the temperature or by others forcing it open. Bet Shammai Amrim Nazir. Bet Shammai say he is a Nazir, even though there is no such thing as Nazirut from a cow or a door. Bet Shammai understand this person to have meant that he will be a Nazir if he does not raise the cow or open the door. Therefore, since he did not, in fact, the cow or open the door, he did not raise the cow or open the door, he should become a Nazir. Although there is no such thing as a Nazir from a cow or a door, Bet Shammai followed their view in the previous Mishnah that a person making a vow intends it to make sense. Therefore, when he said, I am hereby a Nazir from the cow or door, we assume that he meant to become a regular Nazir, but immediately tried to retract it by saying from this cow. So he becomes a regular Nazir because according to Bet Shammai, a person cannot undo a vow of Nazirut once it is made. He is therefore forbidden to drink wine, etc. He is, however, permitted to use the cow or door. Bet Hillel disagree. Bet Hillel omrim eno Nazir. Bet Hillel say he is not a Nazir. Since there is no Nazirut from a cow or a door, his vow is meaningless. This follows their opinion in the previous Mishnah, that a Nazirut vow about things that are permitted to a Nazir is meaningless. Additionally, even Bet Shammai, who ruled that such a Nazir vow is valid, should agree in this case, since he accepted Nazirut on the condition that the cow would not stand up, and it did. Bet Hillel understand the owner's condition to become a Nazir if the cow does not stand up to mean simply that it does not stand, whether through its efforts or otherwise. Since the cow did stand up, he is not a Nazir. So Bet Hillel disagree with both positions of Bet Shammai. One, Bet Hillel considered this Nazir vow to be meaningless, and two, they hold that his condition to become a Nazir was not fulfilled. Now Rabbi Yehuda explains Bet Shammai's ruling differently. Amar Rabbi Yehuda said, Av kshamru Bet Shammai, even when Bet Shammai said that this declaration is effective, Lo amru ela beomer, they said so only for someone who says that he meant, Hare parazu alai korban imumedet hi, this cow should be like an offering to me if she stands up, meaning Bet Shammai agreed that the person is not a Nazir, but if he explains that he meant to prohibit the cow or door to himself like an offering, his declaration counts as a neder vow and he may not use the cow or door. Bet Hillel disagree and permit him to use them. As in the previous Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda maintains that all agree that he is not a Nazir, since his vow includes things permitted to a Nazir. Instead, the argument is whether the vow has the status of a neder when he intended to forbid the cow or door to himself like an offering. According to Bet Shammai, the vow is a neder, but Bet Hillel consider it meaningless. Rabbi Yehuda agrees that Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel also argue about the second point that we mentioned, namely whether the condition if the cow does not stand up was fulfilled. Bet Shammai considered it fulfilled since the owner himself did not pick up the cow, while Bet Hillel ruled that since the cow did indeed stand, his condition was not met. And that is in a Mishnah Bet. Mishnah Gimel deals with the person who says he is a Nazir for a specific cup of wine. Mazgulo at akos, if they poured a cup of wine for a person, va'amar reini Nazir mimenu, and he said, I am hereby Nazir from it, Harez a Nazir, he is a Nazir, although his vow referred only to a particular cup of wine, he is a full-fledged Nazir. Since he vowed to become a Nazir, he is subject to all Nazirut restrictions, even though he mentioned only this cup of wine. Now this ruling applies when he is sober. However, if they offered a cup of wine to him when he was drunk and he said, I am hereby a Nazir from it, he is not a Nazir. Now the Gemara explains that the Mishnah is missing words and should include this ruling, since he does not really mean to become a Nazir, just to forbid this cup of wine. Like the Mishnah will soon explain, he is not a Nazir. So again, if they offered a cup of wine to him when he was drunk and he said, I'm hereby a Nazir from it, he is not a Nazir, since he does not really mean to become a Nazir, just to forbid this cup of wine. The Mishnah cites a story in support of the second ruling. There was an incident with a certain woman who was drunk. And they poured her a cup of wine. She said, I am hereby a Nazira from it. Nazira is the feminine form of Nazir. The sages said, the woman did not intend to accept Nazirut. Rather, she meant to say, it is for me like an offering, meaning she intended to forbid this cup of wine to herself with the neder and use the word Nazir so they would stop pushing her to drink wine. People will often push a drunken person to drink more wine. In this story, the drunken woman did not want any more wine. Therefore, she vowed not to drink the cup poured for her, so they would not push her to drink it. But she was worried that if she prohibited only this cup, they would bring her a different cup of wine and urge her to drink it. Therefore, she said Nizirah, so it would sound like she was accepting Nizirut and cannot be offered any more wine. However, in reality, she intended to prohibit only this particular cup of wine to herself, with a neder, as the Gemara explains. But a sober person becomes a Nazir with this declaration, since if he meant to prohibit only this cup, he would have not said Nazir. Therefore, the cup of wine is forbidden to her, but in our case, the cup of wine is forbidden to her because she was drunk, but she is not a Nazirah. And that is an Abotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.